Namaste, beautiful souls, and welcome to this episode of Truth and Tarot Time. And it's going to be a lot of tarot time today because I have got the lovely Catherine Ann with me. Hello, Catherine.
Hello.
Catherine Ann is a tarot card reader as well and has been for many years, and she reads the Rider-Waite as well. And she's going to give her interpretation as well. We're going to start off with a small reading. I'll say what I think, and then she's gonna, on the same cards, she's going to give her interpretation, and we have no idea what's coming up at all. Now, Catherine, I met Catherine Ann in Sarah Landon's masterclass. I've had a few people from Sarah Landon's masterclass on Truth and Tarot Time. I will put a link in the description to Sarah Landon's work because we do love it, although we're not in the masterclass anymore. And she lives on the west coast of the United States of America. So she is across the pond. And we've already been talking about so many things that I am sure would be relevant, but we hadn't pressed record. But anyway, if whatever will be now. So let's take a breath, relax the body. Thank you. Thank you. As we ask for any messages, any guidance, any heads up. Thank you. Anything else we need to know? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Got to look at the one on the bottom. Loving it, loving it, loving it. We've got Temperance. Major Arcana, of course, spiritually guided, emotional, fulfilling, new dawn coming. The message with this card, of course, is patience, and also that the seeds have been planted. And that's funny because we were saying earlier on, I was saying earlier on that, sometimes if the universe could just tell me what it is I'm meant to be doing, I could just go and do it. And it's just that, no, there's something called divine timing. And that's what this card is about. Patience. The seeds have been planted and we can't rush them. And so that's kind of like an umbrella, message for the whole kind of reading. Let's have a look. Childhood and children. I think that's very relevant. Okay, so when this card comes up, the Six of Cups, for me, it's nostalgic. It's things from the past, but it has an energy of children about it. So it can be the need for inner child work. It can also be our own children. It could be it's a community card. So it is about reaching out to the community, and it can also be about being more childlike and just enjoying yourself, spinning and cartwheels on the grass and things like that. So it's a beautiful energy here, but there is an energy of collaboration because it's like a village environment here. New action. This has been coming up for everybody. Ace of Wands. Ace of Wands, of course, is new action, but not just any action. Wands is fire, it's transformational, and of course, it's burning. It's that fire in your belly. It's that passionate action. It's that I really want to do it. Now, you may not know why you want to do it, and you may activate your programming that says you can't afford it, you're not good enough, and all those limiting beliefs. But it keeps coming up because we keep not doing what our soul wants us to do. When it comes in a cloud on a tarot card, it means that it's coming from the divine and it's full of fruition here. So the Ace of Wands is new action that needs to be taken within the community or to do with your children or children in some nature, working with children, playing in a childlike manner, or maybe co-creating with our own children, something like that. So this is interesting. Justice, Major Arcana, the Karma card. You reap what you sow, and we've been talking about the seeds have been planted. So what seeds have you been planting? Because you reap what you sow. And karma. And again, I'm going to bring it back to children because on a soul level, we choose to incarnate with our children. Why? We've probably had other lifetimes where maybe they were the parent, or maybe we were siblings or something like that. And there's karmic lessons. I don't want to say that. I want to say that maybe karmic contracts or just co-working, co-creation. We choose to come in again to this lifetime, especially at this great awakening, in order to work together, I know that's the case with my son and me. We work together at the garden retreat, and I'm sure we'll work together again at some stage. So this is an energy of karma about it as well, and everything being just and as it should be, as long as you exercise patience, Deborah. Happy families. Oh, I'm loving it. Happy families. Of course. Yes, there's definitely a family connection going on here. We've got two children here in the picture. Emotionally fulfilling. Cups, of course, love, emotions, intuition, spirituality, creativity, totally spiritually guided. This could be your tribe, it could be your blood family, but this is a 10. There's a completion, there is a happiness for everyone, the tribe, the family, the community. So you can see that the cards are all connecting somehow today. I think it's beautiful. Happy families, but you've got to do it in the right order, right? You only get this if you take this action. So whatever it is that you're wanting to do, you need to do it and stop telling yourself that you can't or you can't afford it or you shouldn't or blah blah blah. Just take a step in that direction and trust me, the karma, what's going on, everything's orchestrated. You take that step, you're showing you're using your free will to take that step towards your own desires. The universe will do everything else for you. And look, we've got the Two of Wands. We're ending with the Two of Wands. So you've got to take this step, because when you take this step, this new action, the Two of Wands, he's looking out over the shores of heaven on earth. He's got the whole world in his hands. The world is his oyster. The universe is his playground. The twos show a decision, because you've made that decision to take that burning inspiration and turn it into divine action. And once you do that, the next step is right there for you. And that's how we create heaven on earth.
Beautiful.
Did you get all those cards out?
I did. Yep, I
Well
did.
done.
Isn't that fun?
I can't wait to
Um,
hear what you have to say about them.
yeah, no, I love everything that you were saying. I have to say that when you first pulled the temperance, immediately what came to mind was right before we started, we were talking about Archangel Gabriel. And I was like, well, there we go.
Yes, Archangel Gabriel. Catherine was talking about her guides, that her dad sometimes comes through, and the galactic realm, and different people come through, different energies come through to help her read the cards. And I was saying that Archangel Gabriel, who is the archangel of channelers, writers, speakers, I can sometimes feel his energy, but because I talk so much, he actually helps me know when to shut up. So yeah, we've got Archangel Gabriel.
Yeah. Just as soon as I was like, and here we are. And you said something about like being under the umbrella, and I could just feel like the wings around us, right? Like that divine guidance, that divine protection, all of that comes into play with understanding divine timing and patience. Because you can't really surrender to divine timing if you don't also surrender to the idea that we are protected and guided and loved and held by our angelic teams, by our spirit guides, by our ancestors, by all the, you know, all the legions of support that we have on the other side. If you don't have a faith and a trust in that there is something bigger, it's really hard to surrender to divine timing and patience,
Right.
and that everything will work out. That's the other thing that I really noticed was both of these cards talk about balance. So with this one, we have the angel pouring, the water from cup to cup. And I always think of that as like we're working on the flow, right? We're kind of like that infinity symbol. We're working on the flow. And then in justice, it's the scales of justice. And part of the major arcana for me is almost like universal truths or the universal energy. The minor arcana is more of like the day-to-day actions that we're going to take, but the major arcana for me is always that bigger picture message. And I felt like as these two came out, it was trust in the divine balance, that things have to find their way, which is why it takes patience on our part because we don't always get to see. My team always says to me, kind of like, let us handle the details, like, um, you don't need to worry about the how or the why that something's going to work out. That's really like none of my business. It's like getting the message that, the divine spark, right? It's getting that divine spark and going, okay, I feel it, I hear it. This is wild. Why am I even thinking this? Why am I even feeling this? And spirit going, don't worry about that. Like, get the spark, take the next aligned action, and let us work out all the details.
Yeah.
And when you're taking those aligned actions, I always think of that as like these little leaves that are coming off of this wand, this divine spark. It's like, and these are the little sparks of, oh, I could do that, or maybe I should call this person, or I've never visited that place. And it's kind of all those little drip drops of downloads. It's not, you're not getting hit over the head with a brick. It's these little drips of, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do that. And they're all coming from this spark of this new path you're stepping into. Which so I rarely read my cards in order, so I'm bouncing all over the place. I don't do a traditional spread anymore. I pull them out and they start talking to me. So it's just so perfect that the Two of Wands came out because this is where all those little downloads, all those little sparks, it's like, okay, now I am going to step into something. Like this is the part where you've taken some action. At least enough action to say, all right, I'm in. Like I'm gonna follow the guidance. The next card is the three. I always think of that as waiting for your ships to come in,
Yeah.
waiting for your actions to kind of show some fruit. But you're at this part, you're just at the trusting part.
Yeah.
You're at the I heard you. Now I'm gonna take a step. I'm here, I'm showing up, I'm throwing it out to the universe, and now I just have to trust.
Yeah. And also this thing about, I was saying to someone the other day that things can just change on a turn on a dime. We use your word dime. Things can turn on a dime. It can just take one phone call, one meeting, that spark with the right person at the right time can change the whole, or it doesn't have to be something big, but it could be the spark that ignites your new project that is going to, well, we know that you are the project, but whatever activity you're going to be doing, creative activity to work on your project. But yeah, and it can happen like that. So just that one step can be all that you need.
Right. And then you let the next step show up to you, right? Being open to receive whatever it is, and the next little bit of drop of inspiration. The other thing that I was really feeling, especially about the cup cards that you're bringing through. So I always hear the word nostalgia
Yeah.
with the Six of Cups, and that idea of um, and with this too, right? Family. So is there something that is like related to your childhood, like a thing that you never allowed yourself to do? Or is there a gift that you didn't allow yourself to explore? Because I always think of this also as the gift, because we have like this older child handing something to the younger child. And in the exploration of that gift, the ultimate you end up is in this, like happily ever after, right? Everything is working out for you. And that is one of my favorite universal truths of everything is always working out for me. And there's something about this that when you first pulled the temperance and then this, it was like, is there something that you tucked away for way too long that now you like? It's almost like a little nudge from spirit. Allow your inner child to explore something. Allow that childlikeness. Allow the or the nostalgia of something to inspire you to do something or to follow a path that you've been shutting down. And in doing so, it's like in doing so, all becomes right in the world. Your world, at least, right? And it's interesting. I'm being reminded of a story. So, if you're familiar with Lee Harris, channeler, he tells this story about a client he worked with once who she said, she always wanted to be a dancer when she was a child, but for whatever reason didn't follow it, didn't feel good enough. And he was like, well, why not pursue that now? And so she took his advice and pursued it as an adult, took a bunch of dancing classes. And, a year or so later when they connected, he was like, well, how's that going? How's your dream of being a dancer? And she's like, I'm done with that. She's like, it was great. I'm so glad I did that and I'm done with it. But that feeling of like letting your inner child have that, like letting, instead of letting it be a regret or like a something I never explored, it's um, I fulfilled that. I followed my passion as far as it took me, and now I'm complete and it doesn't like hang over me anymore. And that's what this feels like to me. This feels like a balancing of making everything right in the world. And in doing so, look how happy you are. And when you're happy, you're willing to take risks to take the next step on your inspiration. So that's kind of fun.
So tell me, Catherine, do those cards resonate with you on a personal level?
So it's really interesting because I have been, yes, and I want to say like part of that story I told also is I've had multiple experiences of that. Really, after hearing that story, like you can see, I have paintings in the back. Those are paintings I've done. I always wanted to be an artist when I was a child, always. And, had some things happen that shut me down. So I explored painting for a few years and I kind of got to that place too of like, that was fun, but now I'm on to other things. And I feel like I'm in that space again right now of there's been different things that I've been doing where I'm like, oh, I can do that. And I have enjoyed doing that. But I don't have that, like, I want to say the angst or the drive that's driven out of a regret or driven out of a, like, I was told I couldn't and now so I just want it. I feel like I'm really arriving to this place of I've followed those threads. I've allowed myself in the last few years to really go back to all of my childhood interests and follow them and come to a place of peace. Kind of like, I want to say like this, it's all balanced out. It's really interesting. And I feel like this is a reminder for me that there's more. Like there's more inspirations to come because I've been in this place of, and now what? Like, which, it's almost like I've healed all these threads. So now what?
But I see it, I see it. I mean, I agree completely. I'm coming in at it from a slightly different angle because it's reminding me of, so with the soul profile readings that I do from Soul Realignment, there's like 8 energy centers. And one of the things we do is we look at people, we all have all 8. Okay, but we're more dominant in some than the others. And so when I do the readings, we look at the most dominant energy centers because they carry the characteristics that your soul is going to thrive through, right? And when I first studied that, because I did it over 10 years ago, I was looking at all of mine and I was looking at my least dominant, right? So part of me at the time, I thought, that's my least dominant. That's not me. And I kind of pushed it away. And funny enough, you were talking about art being an artist. The energy center that I'm least dominant in is the one that people are very artistic and use color, right? And I'd kind of pushed it away as that's not me, right? But the thing is, though, it's all of us. So these threads that you're talking about, Catherine, I'm seeing them as energy centers, right? And the reason that it comes and goes is because what you've done is you've embodied it now, and you're embodying all of who you are. Because I had this moment in the garden retreat where I was happily in my flow, I was painting these pots turquoise and I was putting pink flowers into them. And I was totally enjoying myself. But I was just aware that that is not me. I'm not a painter. I'm not usually working with colors like that to beautify things, in that way. And I just remember thinking, what am I doing? This isn't really me. And I got this download straight away that just said, you are embodying all of who you are. And it was the same with my vegetable patch. I had a vegetable patch. I gave it so much love and attention for well, 2 years, but the second year I found it quite stressful, right? Because it wasn't my forte. The qualities, if I'm going to use that word, energetic qualities of growing fruit and veg is not one of my dominant energy centers. It was my second smallest one. So, but I thoroughly enjoyed it for a year. And then I realized the second year it was just not the same for me. But it's like you're saying, it's like I had to go and do it well, but that wasn't for me. But it was another way of embodying all of who we are. So I think it's perfect that we need to take that creative step, don't we? But it means that the way I look at it is we have like we have motorways to enlightenment, and then we have little roads. So for me, there was a little road, whereas obviously for us, tarot, expressing ourselves is the motorway. So I think the art, I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, that's beautiful, the artwork behind you.
Thank you. So I love that you said that because I, it's been a constant refrain in my conversations with spirit over the last few weeks in particular because I I have so many interests. I really do. I have so many interests. And right now, ironically, I am obsessed with my garden. And and I'm actually doubling it and growing more. And I'm spending so much time doing that that I really have not been spending as much time kind of putting myself out there like on social media or whatever to also share, my spiritual business. Which has been a big focus of mine for a long time. And I've been having this conversation with spirit about like, am I avoiding something in my spiritual business? And they just keep saying to me, this is purposeful. The word, I mean, over and over again, purposeful, purposeful, purposeful. And so I've had that the conversation of just really embodying who I am and like this is what I'm interested in right now.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the garden. I'm interested in the World Cup, right? Like these are the things that I'm super like excited about right now, which in no way negates that all the various modalities I do and, the cards and the channeling and the astrology are also 100% who I am and I want to say like my undying love. And like I can be all of that and also not want to put a post out. Like I want to play in my garden all day or want to spend the day watching soccer and still be like I think the thing it's really interesting. I was looking at all these cards and like there's nothing about these cards that said should. In the word, like this is what you should be doing, right? Everything about these cards say divine timing and spark and inspiration and um, joy, right? Like fall, like joy, and joy is what it all matters. But like that's what we're all trying to be, right? We're all trying to be happy, and that is the conversation that I've been having in my head a lot, like the shoulds versus like this is just who I am, and that needs to be okay.
Yeah. it, I agree so much. It doesn't really matter, does it? Because the right thing will happen at the right time for the right reasons. I mean, I remember I learned so much when I did that gardening, right? And the plants talked to me. There was, I mean, I know it sounds a bit mad. I know we talk to plants, but I picked up a load of hedge trees and I had them all in the back of the car. And on the way back, um, I could hear them squealing with delight that they had been adopted. And I was putting them all along
Love
the
it.
wall because they were like hedge, to make a hedge. And I said, you've got a really important job. You're going to look after the tent of the garden, and stuff like that. And they were all like this. I don't know. I mean, all right, so I'm mad, but I could feel them. And I remember the banana trees told me quite clearly when I trimmed them back too far. They were like, oh, ouch. Nope, too far.
Oh,
And
interesting.
so yeah, it was perfect when it happened. But also there are people, of course, that are dominant in that. That's what came to me my second year when I realized it was taking me away from what my main purpose or, the main part of who I am, this work, I guess, or something like that. Um, and so I thought, well, there are people that are just mad about, growing organic fruit and veg. And I know quite a few people like that. So I'm just going to co-create with them, and that's perfect as well, because I don't think we're meant to be completely independent. I mean, sovereign, yes, but not completely independent. And I love this idea of community where, look, I'll read your cards, you you provide the fruit and veg. You do this, you do that. Somebody else is going to be painting the pots and putting pink flowers in from now on.
That's what this was all about too, right? That
Yes.
community. And it's interesting because and I always am really hesitant to say this because it's not about fear in any way. But for a good year now, my guides have been telling me preparation is important. Prepare. And I hesitate because it's not about into the world or anything like that, but we are in a time of kind of unexpected weird things happening, right? Like
Yes.
even the credit card system goes down and you can't order what you normally order online. You need to have a local supplier, or you need to have extra for when that gets fixed and you can then buy again or whatever. That's what they keep giving me, this image of when I bought my house about 5 or so years ago, and they were saying you have to have a house where you can have a garden and chickens. It is imperative that you have garden and chickens, which something I mean, I'd already had that before, but they were very clear, like non-negotiable, right? Like you can't just settle. This is a must. And I really feel that now as um it's it's like I just keep getting this feeling that there's a reason I'm obsessed with my garden right now. And the surplus of my garden is not just for me, it's
Yeah.
for my neighbors, it's for my friends, it's for supporting community. And um, I'm not a pro gardener, but sometimes there's abundance, right? Sometimes it all works out. Like last year, I had one plant that did so many cucumbers, I didn't know what to do with them, and I was handing them out left and right. So that with all the unexpected things that have been happening, all the weird things that have been happening, and price changes and job shifts and weather events and all of that stuff, I just keep getting this, what do you need to be doing in your life to feel like your own inner security? And
Yeah.
for me, that is working in my garden so that my family, my friends, my neighbors potentially have these
But it's
vegetables.
not all about like what might happen in the world. I mean, um,
True.
for me, it's also, even if the world is fine, I love this idea of doing swapses. Our neighbor gives us onions, and we'll give them tomatoes and stuff, and just constantly doing that. I just love that way of living. I would much prefer to live like that than go to the supermarkets, for example. They are like, I'm not even sure that the food industry is food anymore. So. I don't think it's not all about preparation for something like that. I think it's the lifestyle, it's the back to basics Mother Earth lifestyle, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so in my day job, I run a school and we have a huge school garden. And I have this like obsession with not only teaching the children to garden, but having our garden be a resource for all of our families. And so, a couple months ago, we had so much celery, it was out of control. So instead of harvesting the celery, we actually dug up the massive amount of plants and potted them and sent them home with families to plant in their own garden and be a continual resource for them. And there's something so beautiful about that community give and
Yeah,
take.
and it's the energy.
Right.
Your energy's gone with it as well. So this school, is it a home? Is it like a out of the system school?
It is. I mean, technically it's a public school, but it's not. It's a homeschool hybrid type of program. And so everything is a little bit different than a
Well,
traditional
it
school.
needs to be.
Yeah, which um, I with full understanding know I was divinely placed in this because um, I always say I never wanted to work in education and it just kept following me. And actually, many, 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 many years ago, my grandfather came through and shared, like, you're going to be doing this. And I was like, no, I'm not. And now it's because now I'm in a place where everything we do is about celebrating uniqueness, celebrating your own individual gift. And um, we really focus on outdoor learning. So the connection with nature and sustainability and the importance of movement and fresh air to be a whole healthy person. And I feel really lucky to be able to support families and children to explore what they need to thrive, right?
It's
Because
so important, isn't it?
it's so important. And I was a classroom teacher many years ago. I feel like decades ago. Um, but I was always the one who wanted to celebrate those kids who they just weren't meant to be in four walls.
Yeah.
And that's how my children, my son in particular, is on the spectrum. From day one, he was not meant to be educated in four walls. And we have so many children that are system breakers like that right now that are showing us a different way. They're highly sensitive and they need a reason to do stuff, not just because I told you so.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I
And
was a school teacher for many years, and I just remember I was talking to one set of parents, and they had a very like B grade daughter. That's how they would call it, right? I mean, she had an A in art, a C in maths, and everything else was a B. And they were talking to me about putting her in maths school all summer. And I said, "Oh, please put her into art school all summer." And they said, "But she's got an A in art." I said, "Do you want a happy, thriving daughter, or do you want her motivation to go? Because she doesn't need anything more than a C in maths."
Mhm.
I don't know what they did in the end, but things like that. I got things like that, and that's where I was like realizing. And I've got it's kind of a funny story, but it was a message for me that was loud and clear. You say, listen to your body when it whispers and you won't need to hear it shout. Or maybe listen to your higher self when it whispers and you won't need to hear it shout. Because I had this situation where
It's this, right?
after, after, after the playground, I think you call it recess, don't you? But
Uh-huh.
after
Yeah.
the playground, I was teaching like 7 and 8 year olds. And they came in and there'd been a little scuffle in the playground. And I wanted to talk to the kids about, caring about each other. And, I had something on the wall that said, be kind to unkind people because they need it the most. So I had taught these kids that obviously if they were physically bullied, then obviously report it. But if there was just a bit of this, I was like, hurt people, hurt people. So when someone says something nasty to you, it's because there's something hurting in them that has nothing to do with you. And I was saying all of this to 7 and 8-year-olds. Anyway, the headmaster came in and said, "Oh, you should be doing maths now," because we had our timetables outside. And I said, "Oh, I'm just doing a little bit of after playground. And he was like, "Oh, okay." He came back 20 minutes later and I was still doing it. I was still talking to them in this way, and they were all lapping it up. And he came back and he got very insistent that I should be teaching fractions. And I don't know where it came from. Well, I do. It came through me. I just said, I don't want to teach maths. I want to teach love.
Yes.
And I just screamed it. And there was this deadly silence, and the kids were all like this. And he didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say. I thought, oh, I've just lost my job. And there was this pregnant pause, and then he just left. But I got the message because after, I don't know, a few months later, I left the school, and I think pretty much what I do is teach love now.
Yeah. Well, it's as you talk, I'm like, oh, I can, all these cards, right? Like you were restoring balance. You were like with helping them through love, which is what the angelic realm does for us, right? The spirit realm communicates through us through love. But there's just such, whether your children, which like I feel very fortunate that that gets to be the whole heart of the school that I'm in, is about if you don't feel well, right? Emotionally, physically, like if you don't feel safe, how do you learn? How do you grow?
Exactly.
And that's whether you're a child or an adult. Like you have to feel safe. And I feel like that's the that's what following your joy does for you. It's like if you get to follow your joy, you get to go, I'm okay because I'm happy and I'm okay. And then you can tackle, there's other things in life that you don't enjoy, right? But you just navigate them, as opposed to if you don't feel safe, if you don't feel happy, if you don't feel like, if nobody's ever taught you how to restore balance, then you kind of live off kilter, right? And then if you're off kilter, how can you hear? How do you get that connection with your higher self, with your guides and team? Because there's too much noise going on when you're off balance. And I feel like, you know, I keep looking at these cards going, there's so much here about um, trying to find that equilibrium so that you can hear the spark, so you can follow the joy.
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, and how long has your school been around then?
27 years.
27 years. Oh, a
Hmm.
long time.
Very long time. Yeah,
Oh, it's
I've been
not from like I thought you were going to say like from 2020 when the
there.
world went mad.
No, but there's been many, many, many iterations of, we are constantly transforming, and since 2020, there's been um, more changes, and that's where we really started bringing in the garden and the outdoor learning, and a much higher level of social emotional focus. Um, we call it our magic, that all of us, like, yes, learning is important, but we just all fundamentally understand that you can't learn if you're not well. You
Mm.
have to feel safe, you have to feel loved, you have to feel that there's a place for you in your uniqueness
And you
in
have
order
to
to
feel
learn.
inspired
You have to feel
and
inspired, and you're
passionate
not
about what you're
inspired if you
doing.
don't feel that.
Mm.
Like think about, it's interesting because um, I think all of us go through times where we need a period of rest. And that period of rest is rejuvenating you so that you can be inspired.
Yeah.
So that when the inspiration comes, you can actually act on it.
And is the school sort of Monday to Friday, 9 to 5?
No. I
No,
mean,
I was
they're at home doing whatever their schedule is, and then we have 2 or 3 days a week they come.
okay. I was going
If
to
they
say
want to.
that that's one of the things that just from teaching or any job, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, or just having that full on schedule, I just don't think it's healthy to do the same thing all the time. I mean, what I'm loving now is that you do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you know,
Yeah,
um,
like I was saying before, right? I have so many interests
yeah,
and just being like, and this is who I am. So today I'm going
yeah,
to do this and this. And
yeah.
yeah, I agree. I pulled my son out of traditional school to come to my school years ago when he was little. And we we called it dinosaur school for a few months. He just played in the backyard and dug and did whatever he wanted because he had to decompress from that 9 to 5. This is how we do it. He wasn't built for that. And to watch him flourish because he got to function at his own rhythm was, he's actually now back in traditional school, but completely flourishing. He just needed some time in between to find that balance.
Exactly. And I think it's, what they say, don't they? If you're trying to get a goldfish to climb a tree or trying to get a bird to swim underwater, no, or a
Mhm.
monkey to swim underwater. I think some
Yeah.
birds do swim underwater. No, but you know what I mean. And I was thinking, whatever it is that we're meant to do, whatever this is going to be different for everybody. And I believe that it's in us already. We don't have to go and learn it. We need the environment, like a school like you run, to let this come out from within us. And I was thinking this in the school that I was working in. I mean, it was a private school, so they could have eased up on things, but they didn't. They followed the British curriculum like this. But
Mhm.
um, this is in us. And if we are exposed to learning it, it's really more of a remembrance than a learning. And so if you're an artist, you need to be exposed to that, but you won't know, this won't come out unless you're exposed to it in some way, I guess. Um, it's
Yeah.
just it's inbuilt. Swimming underwater, right? The fish don't learn to swim underwater. It's built in their DNA. I mean, birds, I mean, yes, you might see the parent bird teaching the little bird to fly, but only once. They push him out the nest once because flying is inside the bird. And
Who they
so,
are.
whatever it is that we're meant to do, whatever this is, in order for us to create our heaven on earth and have the whole world as our oyster, it's in us already. And the best way to get it out is this nurturing and this balance that you're talking about. And I want to say the nervous system. You talked about your son being on the spectrum. Mine was as well. I say was, I mean he is or whatever. I think so many people are. Um, but it was the nerves, I mean, it's the nervous system, I think for all of us, even the teachers in the schools.
It's that hypersensitivity
Mm,
not being valued or nurtured in the way where it becomes a superpower as opposed to a
exactly.
challenge. And, and I would think for people like us, we have a hypersensitivity that draws us to this connection with spirit because we can feel. So, I got full body chills. Like we can feel like
Mm.
the other dimensions, the energies around us and how that speaks to us. And not everybody has an interest in that. I believe that everybody could develop that capacity, but it's not everybody's interest. Just like I don't want to learn how to play basketball, right? Like it's not your thing. But I have to share just because it's screaming at me. So I have my deck over here just sitting upside down. And this whole time we've been talking, these are the cards that are showing on the bottom. And it's the card of divine love and then the sun.
Wow.
And I just, we kept saying like it's in here, and that how important like feeling supported and loved and nurtured is allows us to completely shine.
Oh, yeah.
And I always think about this little naked baby, right? The vulnerability of just, I'm just going to be me. And by being me, I am shining like brighter than I ever could, exactly how it was meant to be. Right? Because
Yeah.
I feel like that's what we came to do. We came to learn how to shine our light.
Definitely. And I love that you pulled the sun card because, of course, this weekend we have the summer solstice. And for me, the sun card, I know it's Leo traditionally, and the summer solstice obviously marks Cancer season, but it is a beautiful card for summer solstice, isn't it? The light. The light, the maximum amount of light, because that's also the card in tarot, because the rays that come from the sun show spiritual guidance, and that's the card in tarot that has the greatest rays from the sun, so the greatest spiritual guidance. But we think about guidance coming from outside, but yeah, I think it's really important to understand that whoever we are going to become, we already are. It's in us. And it's if we can relax the nervous system, I think that's an important point, and create the environment, like you said, like a school like yours, where you feel safe and nurtured and loved, so that what's inside can come outside, so
Right.
you can make the next step, which is just and leads to happy families.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's interesting. The other thing that started really being loud for me is this red cape. I hadn't ever thought about this before, but I just kept hearing it's the inspiration. Like this, the red cape is the red cape on the Two of Wands, is the red cape on Justice.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it's this that is the color of wands, the color of inspiration.
And
And
he's
it's
wearing a red coat as well. Look.
yeah. Yeah. And then I'm like, and then the red wings, right? Like there's something like this connecting your heart and your light by just being completely who you are is a lot because this feels like being completely in the flow of your
And
divine
having
self.
permission.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. This
Wow.
is where we were talking before about how even now, 30 years later, I will see things in the cards. Spirit will point things out in the cards where I'm like, oh, yeah, I never saw that before.
Yeah, that's what I love about tarot as well, because it's all part of a journey, isn't it? Because there are traditional meanings to the cards, but really they're a tool to trigger our own inspiration and our own messages. And I often will say something about a card that I've never said before, and that's when I know it's personal to the person I'm reading for. And it's a journey, a tarot journey. And having said that, I did want to talk to you about your tarot journey, but we have kind of like it's gone so quickly. The time has gone so quickly. I thought it might with us. So you'll have to come back another time and talk about your tarot journey because I want to hear that as well. But yeah, wow. Thank you so much, Catherine Ann, for joining me today.
Thank you
Um,
for having me. This was so fun. There's
yeah,
nothing that I love more than talking tarot, spirit, all the stuff.
exactly, exactly. Truth and tarot is truth and tarot time. And we could talk Truth, tarot, and tarot wisdom. So yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. I'm going to put all your contact links. You're going to send them to me. I'm going to put them in the description. Your school sounds amazing. I just wish you could get a chain of them all around the world, please. There are some schools actually. I mean, I don't have little ones anymore, but there are some schools that do similar things here. So it is happening. There is this grassroots up community that is taking over, getting strength behind it in the Great Awakening, which is what we need. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is there anything you want to say or share before we say goodbye?
No, this is just awesome. I've had so much fun.
Oh, thank you so much. So thank you to Catherine, and thank you to anyone who got to the end of the video. Sending you all so much love, and see you in the next video. And bye for now.